Have you ever lost your phone? Welcome to week 4 already of this experiment. Today's setup took way too much longer. Way longer. Too much time was wasted. But I have a new setup, and I'm just experimenting with it. The lighting is a little bit low, I think. But it's like experimenting with light. Alright. So, if this is the first thing you see, I don't know what the first video anybody's going to see. Maybe it'll all get watched in sequence. I've only sent links. I've been posting, but I've only sent links to 2 people. And they're under strict orders not to forward it. Well, not strict, but there are requirements. They're not allowed to. Well, I'll drop that there. If you're just tuning in, the first few minutes of this, I broke it into 5 sections. First few minutes of this is talking about last week's setup, about my impressions of the look and the structure and the content. I don't know. I'm just reflecting at the beginning. Last week I had a lot of facial hair. I just let it grow just to see. And I kind of looked unkempt. My hair was a mess. And so today it's a little different. I mean, I look like me. According to me, I look like me. But what do I really look like? Do I even have eyes that can yet see what I really look like? There's a question. Alright, so there's an email address. I should mention that up front while I'm 3 minutes in. One of the things I want to do is read emails. So if the experiment goes a certain way, I'll be ready. If people want to email me and ask me questions, I'll read it. And I'll have a designated time. That'll be Friday. So I'll go in reverse. Friday is kind of a spontaneous day. Whatever I feel like doing on Friday, I do. Sometimes I'll be reading emails if that time comes when there would be emails. So HereGoesNothing at talesofTruth.com is how you contact me. That's it. Just HereGoesNothing at talesofTruth.com. Alright, so I gotta repeat. I have to repeat that at least once in every recording. Now, the setup of this is I do 1 recording a week. I just squeeze it in my journaling time. Like I do have journaling time in my schedule, and this I just slide into that slot. This is like live journaling or an experiment. Post part of my journal, my exposition. We speak extemporaneously. Exposit, I guess. I don't know. The vocabulary that'll be one thing we explore is vocabulary. What things mean. But I'm choosing to present myself a certain way. But who am I really? There are the questions that we will probe, obviously, in the first segments. Another reflection I have of last week, there's inevitably, probably at some point in this recording, because it happened in the last, probably in all of them, I have moments where I'm self-editing, and so I'm thinking. It's like, I'm not sure what to formulate, which words to formulate right now, because I don't want to disclose information. I'm thinking about things, and then only allowing certain things to be heard out loud. It's like you can do both at once. You can think and speak out loud. But the faster you talk, I guess, it's basically if you haven't prepared a speech, like what you're saying isn't part of your normal speech, when you're speaking extemporaneously, that's like thinking. Like you are just listening to me think. And that's a feeling I get when I listen to certain people talk. It's like, oh, this person is absolutely being honest. And there's a lot of people out there that aren't. Anyway, so I have moments, kind of like every now and then, where I lose my train of thought or I think about something, but I'm like, ooh, I shouldn't say that. Self-editing. Because what you speak into existence, like what I'm doing right now, is these words are going to be posted and they now exist. Boom. That's the impression this person is leaving for everyone to, that's, everybody's going to think about him. Everybody that comes across him, and if he becomes a voice people start listening to, more people start listening, because like, what's so great about this guy? And some people don't listen. They just only listen to what other people say about that person. They don't listen themselves. That's the thing. It's like people get an opinion about me based on what somebody else said, and I won't be able to defend myself if they come at me thinking something wrong, something different. So I'm just gonna document this and allow some people to see it, and then maybe it'll spread. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this project. All right. So I will look at the clock. Thank goodness it shows me a running time code while I'm recording. And I'll make each day about something. It could be, they will be different. I'd already said Friday. See, now I'm not even coherent, and that's going to be available for people to see. The guy's not even coherent, but then he recovers. My mind's wandering, but I do have a lot to think about. A lot of responsibilities. And sometimes I just do artistic stuff to keep you distracted while I'm thinking. All right. So Friday. See if I can go in reverse. Friday is random day. Thursday is talking about a chronological history, like stories about what I've been going through since 2 years ago. Like, let's tell this story this project I've been working on started 2 years ago. So let's start telling that story from the very beginning. That's Thursday. Then Wednesday is the project. I don't know. Wednesday is experimental because there's not much there's a lot I can say about the project, but at what rate of disclosure? Like, I can start disclosing things that I'm not contractually obligated to conceal, personal details. But there are other things that will take time. How long can I document this? So that'll be Wednesday. And then Tuesday is from childhood, and I have a particular story that I'm going to start here in a minute, because an edit will come up. My eyesight is so bad, I know. You barely see me. You see this right here. And I'm acting like the eyes are not yet what they are meant to be. That's the artistic part of this. Anybody who can interpret what I just said, what does he mean by that? Whew. All right. Day 1, week 4. And cut. All right. So last Tuesday, I kind of summarized something I talked about the previous Tuesday. And now I'm going to try and summarize it even better. Well, it'll be easy because then I'm moving on to another part of my early history. I was talking about my early history last week. Now I'm picking up around where I'm 7. All right, and I didn't even say the movie in last week's recording. I didn't say the movie. So this is a challenge to you if you're watching this. Do you want to listen to what I said last week before you listen to the rest of this? Or if you already heard last week, you know what I'm talking about. But I never said that's the name of the movie in last week's recording. So when I was 7, I saw Star Wars. Yeah, and Star Wars was the movie that started me thinking. And that's what I said last week about what I wanted to do with my life, I guess. I just started thinking, oh, that would be fun to do. Make stories like that. And then I just continued living my life. I saw Star Wars, and I moved away from that area. So I didn't see it with friends and grow up together with them. I moved away and met a kid who saw Star Wars in another town. I was 9. No, I met him when I was 8, maybe. I was 9, and we both loved Star Wars. Yeah. Oh, and I think I mentioned that last week, yeah. No, I mentioned the friend. I didn't mention that we both love Star Wars. So this friend, I started writing a story with him. We were making stuff up when we played, I guess, and I don't know, at some point I said, I should write this down, I guess. So I started writing it down. And everybody was in it. He was in it. I was in it. The girl I was interested in it. The girl I was interested in at the time was in it. And I see erasures, because he has the document still. He has kept it. And I took pictures of it and read through it again recently. And so this thing, I'll tell you a little bit about what it's out. I'll tell you. Water break, hold on. That's what I should do in the blacks in between the days. Sorry, I want my tongue to be smooth when I tell this part of the story. I don't want my throat to be dry. I am kind of liking this setup. It's working out pretty good. It's just really dark. I don't know why it's... I'm figuring out the lighting. Alright, so this friend of mine came back into my life 10 years ago, after a couple decades. I only lived in that town for 3 years and only knew him for 1 year, 1.5, maybe 2 years. But man, we became close friends, and we just played Star Wars, even fell in love with Princess Leia, all those fantasies. I mean, not with Leia. Little boys, they like girls. I don't know. That's life. It's the way you occur. That's the way you happen. You are a life that happened. And so if it was in our circle of friends, there's 5 to 6 of us. We'd have a special guest in different episodes of this thing. I just wrote it and we played, and I don't know. He thought he wrote it, but he did go and correct my spelling and stuff like that. And so you see it's handwritten. There's some drawings with it too, and he did a lot of the drawings, and I did some drawings. But we wrote this story when I was 9. I wrote what would be like a TV fantasy superhero show when I was 9. I guess, it's we all had our superpowers. We went through this. All right, here's the story. We were all playing in the yard. I have the documentation. I have it. Playing in the yard. And playing kickball. I guess that's what we were into at the time. And it was by one of our houses. I don't know whose house, but we were in the yard. Kicked the ball. It went up in the tree and didn't come down. And so one of us, I forget who went first. It's a small hole or something. I was oh, there's a tree house. I was wait, there's never been a tree house in that tree before. What are you talking about? I was yeah, there's a tree house. Something landed in this tree, I guess. And they climbed up in it and were teleported away somewhere else. And when they got to the new place, they just landed somewhere. And all had like special powers somehow. And they went through these adventures being like heroes, like taking out the bad guys, and being appreciated by the people, doing good, justice, being good. Heroes, just like justice prevailing, just like the movie we just saw, Justice Prevailed, and we're like, yeah, let's do that. And it, I don't know, it goes into, like, my friend, I'm not going to disclose his name, but he like, did I write this? And he was like reading it and he didn't recognize it, and I read it and I'm like, oh, I remember writing this. It's like I remember writing every word. It was vivid in my mind, like I was 9 again. Yeah. Vivid in my mind, like I was 9 again. Memory, the way memory works, you go into your mind and just dwell on what you've been through. Just think back. So, just the fact that is a record, like he kept it and preserved it nicely, and I was like, whoa, you hold on to that. Or he was like, I'm not giving this up. I was like, that's probably a better thing. He's probably going to be safer in his, I mean, anything can happen. A house can burn down, whatever. But my house could burn down too. So it's definitely safe. Like all the things we did, it was good. It was fun. Turned it into something, but it would be like a later in the career project for somebody who actually made something. So that's what I'm working on. So I moved and lived in this small town, and I had these friends. What happened next? That, was like the first thing I wrote. And I had another idea, something to write, and I remember that happened next. Maybe I should jump to that. Yeah. So next week on Tuesday, I will talk about, it's almost like this is the first movie I ever wrote. Like, that's the way I used to think about it. This would be the first movie I ever wanted to make. Ooh. Yeah, I wrote something. Oh, yeah. See, this would be I'm just now extemporaneously thinking about the order of stories, and all these different stories that I'm going to tell on Tuesdays. What order I'm going to go? Yeah, it gets. Wow. There are stories that I will be able to tell. Just trying to imagine how quickly I'll be able to tell these. This is 4 weeks already. The passage of time is just, the perception of the passage of time is such a given. It's such a agreed upon state of being that just thinking about it, some people lose their minds. I don't know. That I'm opening my mouth and the words coming out are these my ideas, or are these, where do these notions come from? Why do I say this? Why do I identify myself as agreeing with the precepts, the things that I'm saying right now? Am I speaking truth? Do I believe this? And people have been responding to me in a certain way that I don't want to say. It's not, I'm reporting a fact. I'm not boasting or bragging. I'm just reporting a fact that I have this recurring scenario where I'm talking to somebody related to the project. Like, I'll meet somebody kind of related to the project I'm working on, or not. Or I'll just be in a meeting with somebody in a public place, and somebody else will look at me and go, "Well, you come across very sincere in what you're saying," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah." That's the sensation I feel. It's like I'm just speaking what I honestly believe. Ooh, that's a risky thing to lay it all out there like that. But the response is generally, like, spontaneously, people will say things like that to me out of the blue. Where was I? I was at a coffee shop, favorite coffee shop in a particular town, talking to my friend, my collaborator, and this person, when there was a moment, they just said, they struck up a conversation with me by saying, I wanted you to know, as I was listening, you're speaking openly, and so, as I was listening, I felt compelled to say, you sound sincere in everything you're saying. So he was, I guess, listening and agreeing with what I was saying, and I don't know, made him feel a certain way. That he felt impelled, I think is the word, to tell me and strike up a conversation with me. So, and it was like an honor to me. And that kind of thing happens as I work on this project. So, a few things to think about. I know what story I'm moving on to next week. If you tune back in, hopefully it'll be more coherent than this one. I mean, every now and then I lose coherence, but it's because of the process that I'm going through. It's a 5-piece show. It's like a one-off. You can watch it all in once. You can watch the entire episode on Saturdays as I label the weeks. I label it week 1, week 2. It's just the full recording. Everything I do in this session is just straight through, and I chop it up. So, chop it up into 5 pieces or more. Like usually, sometimes, like Tuesdays. Today is the first time I've had a Tuesday where I didn't have 2 videos on Tuesday, I think. Because I don't want to spend production time. I just go through it, listen to it once, and then sometimes I cut it and export it at the wrong out, and so I just make another video and release it on the same day or whatever. If you follow what I just said, it makes sense, post-production sensibility. It's like, I just need to get this out of the way. I'm going to cut it up a certain way, and hopefully I have the right ins and outs just as I watch it once. So this will be the out for day 2. My throat is dry. Yeah, I don't want big blacks in the middle. But my throat is dry, so I'm gonna, if you're watching and listening, I'm gonna take another water break. Yeah, maybe that'll be the routine. The intro will always be a sip of water. It means I need to get more water. It's almost done. But I'm really happy with the lighting. I think I'll know when I watch it back. So, Wednesday. Wednesday is a different day. What just happened? Oh, I'm gonna have to pause this recording. Yes, I am. I'm glad that's there. did not. I'm going to pause again. Or no, I'll just do it. I'll just adjust. I'm having a technical issue, but this is a day of the week where it's going to get experimental. Yeah, I'm going to do different things on different days. And then certain days will have a continuity, I guess. This one, maybe it's one continuity will be how experimental this day is. There's something I want to try. Because this is performance art, because it's a work in progress, developing how I want to appear. This day also is the non-disclosure day. It's like I just will exercise my discretion and not disclose much at all up front, but it will unfold. And this is the day I think it will unfold. Wednesdays. Thursdays are more storytelling, and so Wednesday will also be prep for Thursday. Yeah, it'll end up being like that Wednesday because I'm going to maintain a heightened level of discretion. I mean, beyond my legal obligation, but you know that one is such an important obligation that I'll use great discretion. Well, yeah. The judge of that will be what happens if any of this thing comes to pass at all. This thing that I'm working on, yeah. If any of it comes to pass, it's already been transformational in my life. Just the fact that I get to work on it at this point, this point of development, like I'm able to survive and develop this somehow. Boom. But I get to mess with technical aspects. I've never really done lighting. I don't know about lighting, but I need to. I have a source here. These will be the short days. Yeah. These will be the short days. I'll cut it off. I had a decent 10 and 12, right? I don't know. Something like that. I was close to 10 and 1. So maybe this is 6. I don't know. If I can mentally keep track of my cut points as I go, yeah. Can't see a thing without these. As I go. So I'm going to go to a round number. That's what I'll do. So day 3 ends at exactly the 30-minute mark of the week. We'll see how long Thursday and Friday go. Ticking down. Are you watching it? That's all I'm doing is watching it tick down. Extemporaneous productions. Alright, just watching the clock. Life tick away, time ticks by. Alright, edit point. Did I get a little piece of my nose at the end of that episode? I don't want to seem like I guess, yeah, I am hiding. We're all hiding so much. But I do want to talk about what this format feels like when I watched it back. When I watched it back, I saw some stories that were interesting, and then I saw a guy thinking. Thinking and only saying parts of what he's thinking. And those moments are really interesting. I mean, to me, because it's experimental. It's like, oh, he's self-editing. And again, the water break. I didn't do the water break. I'll just drink the rest of this water and doing Thursday right now. I'll tell this story and see what happens on Friday and finish. Done. Yeah, set is a little messed up. Oh, I see that sparkle. There's a sparkle over here on this side. What's my finger? There's a sparkle, right? What is that? Is it in the camera? I don't know. I see this little point of light. I don't know if it's a problem with the lens or something. Oh, that'd be bad. Oh well. I saw it. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. All right. Well, that's part of the story. Last week, I mentioned giving a piece of writing. How far did I get into that story? It was with this experienced producer, and it was in August of 2017. Yeah, and he read my writing, like these thoughts that are in my head, these things that I think of, and I put them on paper in a certain format and a structure, and he reads it. And well, I didn't know if he had read it initially, but we talked for half an hour, and this was the second time. Okay, or no, I'd met with him a couple times, but I gave him this after he'd read something before. Yeah. All right. I don't know if I made that clear last week. So I met this guy and gave him a spec script, feature-length script that I had written, and I just wanted to see what he thought of my writing. It's not the genre he's successful in. He's not known for this genre. He doesn't work on this kind of stuff. But I just needed someone who was a good writer or recognized good writing to just judge my writing. And it began a relationship. That thing I wrote kind of earned me a mentor. And then 2 years later, I wrote this other thing. Yeah, so it was this thing. I guess it was 2 or 3 years. Within 2 years, I think I wrote something. Without him in mind, I was just writing, oh, I gotta write this thing. And I wrote it. And then I realized, oh, there's humor in it. It seems, I don't know, not slapsticky. There's some slapstick moments, but funny moments, I guess. But there's serious subject matter. I gave it to him. And that was last August. I gave it to him in June or July. He was shooting something somewhere. He said, I'll try and get to it. And I didn't know if he did when we met. We had already calendared coffee in August. And first half hour, I was nervous. I got there early. I was nervous. But then he showed up, and I loved this place. The coffee was amazing. And first half hour was chit-chat. And I still didn't know if he read it or not. I half hoped that he hadn't, because I was like, well, I didn't like it. This would be a downer meeting right now. But he had read it, and he liked it better than the last thing, I guess. I don't know, it seemed that way. He seemed to like it even better. He said, you can do this, I believe in you. That's what he said. I believe in you. I want you to succeed. You can do this. That was what my mentor told me. What are you supposed to do with that? You know, in my circumstances, oh, okay. I guess I gotta figure something out here. I gotta find a. If he thinks this thing is worth making, maybe I can find somebody to pay to get it made. It felt like I was about to sell something, or I don't know. It felt like I was on the verge of that, and I met with this one potential investor, and he said, basically an hour meeting turned into a 2-hour meeting. And he said some things that was like, whoa, did he even know why he said those things? Because the things that happened in my life right after that, ooh, that'll be, oh, yeah. Well, let me go back. We talked about the guy at the coffee shop again, my mentor that day. He just gave me some suggestions. He said, this storyline is really good. Add a scene that has this in it, or that other scene, change it slightly so that it's like this. Those are just like 3 or 4 of those notes, and then at the end he said, you have to keep that one character. You have to keep that one character. And I said to him, well, would you be interested in working on this? He's like, well, if you were able to find the investor, like this guy, something like that. He didn't say that, but that was my conclusion. He said some other things, like, I have it written down, I've been journaling, and it's like, ooh, should I read some of this? Should I read from my journal what I actually went through in that moment? Because it was like, I remember an emotional experience I had as it dawned on me that this guy was on my side, that he believed in me. So, it's real, real reflection on. I'm glad I started journaling, because I want to go and relive that moment, because when you journal, you're just growing and realizing things and putting it down, putting it in print, like permanently putting it down as it happens. Because if you don't record it, you don't remember it. And it's interesting. It's good. My set is falling apart. What time is it? All right, I'll make Thursday shorter today. So there's a cut point, 38. Let's make it at 39. All right, here we are. Will we get to 50? We'll definitely get to. Okay, I'm just, for those of you who only watch the long form, I'm out of water, but this is Friday. My throat's going to be dry. So what do you guess is going to happen? Well, you already know, because you know how long I go. You know how long I do the Friday ramble. So I like some of how this happened. I'm able to get some shapes on screen. But the framing is the thing. Because I can't adjust the setup once I hit record. Let's punctuate week 4. I can repeat the email address. Easy. HereGoesNothing at talesofTruth.com. It's in the description. I put it in, I guess it's in the description when I have a coding. I'm going to explain that here for the first time. There's a numbering system. It's like 5 digits, 100. So this episode is 10044, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. If I'm not totally losing my mind. And the last digit just refers to the day of the week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6 would be Saturday. And then 7, 8, if there's any. Unless, like on Tuesdays, there's 2 that go in one day. It's the order that they're cut up, basically. And then there's a 0. And that's just the full edit. So it's the very first video, or the full hour. I think the first time I did an hour. 101. The first one was 10010, and the first week was 10011. Was Monday, which was a short, I just cut it up, and so you could go back. That's what the numbering means. If nobody understood it, that's what it means. You could find in sequence where this thing started. If you care, if this is just a piece of video that comes across and you see it and it doesn't make sense to you, you can go back, or you can start at the beginning of this week, like 10041 would be the beginning of this week, and you can listen to watch this whole week in pieces, or just at once in one sitting, which is 10040. There, I think I've explained it properly. Week 4 of this experiment is coming to a close. I know my mother's watching. I'd like to say hi to her on Fridays. Hi, Mom. I have only emailed it. I haven't decided yet. Am I going to email this week to anyone else? When will I start emailing it the link? My mom gets to watch it unfold. And then I sent it to one other person who's super busy, so I don't expect. We'll see. We'll see how long it goes. Maybe I will send this link to one more person. See if, I'm tracking the viewership. It's like, just give it up. Let it out slowly. All right. And on that note, I've decided to make this a short. I spent too much time on the setup. I got started late recording, and now I got things to do. So, watch it tick. Here come the glasses. Oh, something I wanted to show you. So on Monday of this week, at the beginning of this recording, I started something like this. I asked a question, and I ask a question, and I'm tabulating those questions, and I might just, once I start getting viewerships, announcing what those questions mean, or whatever, it's a tease. I have plans down the road if anybody wants to know what these questions mean, how they're related to what I'm doing at all, if they are at all. So, with this thing, can you see it? Oh, there it is. It is very special to me. It's like the eye of God. Kind of. Like, where was God's eye at the beginning of all of this? When he started watching humans, where was his eye? Where did God first look down from the sky? Where did he look? So that's like a riddle. What does it mean? What's he talking about? Where is God's eye? That's a tease, a clue to what this is. What is that thing he has? Alright. I ran past how long I was going to go. But I'm glad I did. Let's go out.